I'd like to welcome you to the second tutorial of sexual economics related to the second assignment that I expect was already introduced to you during the second seminar. And I imagine that some of you might have encountered problems during the process of finishing the assignment. So for this purpose, you can use this video tutorial to get your assignment done. Nevertheless, here is the assignment, and long story short, you have to basically calculate the self-sufficiency and the terms of trade for a given selected commodity of your choice for your country. Okay, so if you come from India, you will select probably one of the most important commodities, let's say rice, right? And for the rice, you'll be calculating both self-sufficiency and the terms of trade. And for more information, you can actually go here and you can read about those indicators because they're described in a sophisticated way here in this PowerPoint presentation. So first, what you have to do, you have to open the link, right? So here is the link that we have. And this is Faustat. Faustat is a very useful statistical platform where you can extract data basically for every commodity that's available. So let us base our calculations on the United Kingdom because usually we do so based on the USA, but as far as I'm concerned, there's some student from the US, so let's base our calculations on the UK, okay? And generally, what we have to do, we have to select the commodity, and in our case, the commodity, it will be, let's think, let it be barley, right? Because it's quite popular in the UK. And when it comes to years, let's select the time period of, let's say, 10 years, okay? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. And here, because first we are calculating the self-sufficiency, we have to select the production quantity, import quantity, stock variation, and export quantity. Then you would have to click on XLS because you don't want to download the SCV file since it will create some additional problems for you during the process of converting the dataset. Then we'll download data, then we'll open data, and here you can see that you will have quite an extensive dataset. And for the purpose of simplifying and facilitating the process of processing data and getting the assignment done, we will use pivot tables, and pivot tables are generally very useful, especially if you're dealing with large data sets consisting of more than even millions of observations. In this case, for sure, the number of observations isn't that extensive. But still, I would like to introduce you the concept of pivot tables. So you will generate a pivot table and you will put this pivot table in a new tab, okay, in a new sheet here. So then we will shape the table that I'll be using. So let's select the year, we'll go to row, then we'll select the element that will go here, and finally we have to select the values that will go here. Okay, and generally speaking, what you will do, you will copy this table because it's a pivot table and making calculations there is rather complicated. So you will paste this as values, okay? You will copy and paste it as values, okay? You can click on paste special and there will be values, I think, somewhere here. Okay, of course I'm using Mac, and I imagine that not every one of you is using Mac, but still the system is more or less the same. Then we'll get rid of the final row and we'll get rid of this final column since we will not be needing those totals. Then we have the rest of the table ready. So now we will write self-sufficiency S/S. Then we will just use the formula, and the formula you can find it in the PowerPoint related to the seminar, since you're surely encouraged to first go through the presentation before just mindlessly doing the assignment. Nevertheless, let's calculate the self-sufficiency index. It will be the production divided by production once again plus import minus export and minus stock variation minus, it has to be minus. Okay, so the first two elements in the denominator, they will have the plus sign, and the other two, thus being the export and the stock variation, they'll have the negative sign, and we'll click OK. As you can see here, that the self-sufficiency index is greater than 1, or it's greater than 100%, because it's usually expressed in percentage points. Not percentage points, but percentages. Yeah. Of course, you can change the shape of the table. You can make the table look beautiful. Yeah, let me just do it like that. Then we'll change it here, and you will have this table. And what is the interpretation? In this case, we can say that the production, usually for the United Kingdom's barley, does fully satisfy the consumption. In other words, the domestic production of barley, is sufficient in order to satisfy the consumption. In other words, in the period between 2012 and 2020, the UK was self-sufficient in the production of barley, but the situation has changed after the COVID pandemic, presumably, since the self-sufficiency has dropped significantly. And this is the way how it generally works. And I think that the problem is that the production has dropped. You can see that the value of production has dropped significantly. So there was something about the self-sufficiency, and it will be your first tab. Then for the second part, we'll be calculating the terms of trade. And since we have selected the barley in the UK, we'll once again select the barley. So here we will write United Kingdom. Here we will write barley. Here we will select the same time period of 10 years. And here we will select everything. Once again, you're encouraged to go through the concept of terms of trade before doing the assignment. Then we'll open it here, and let's just copy and paste the whole table in this sheet that we have. Yeah. Okay. Now we will once again create the pivot table in a new chart. Here we will click on year in the rows. Then we will put element here as a column. Then value here. And once again, we will copy and paste everything that we have next to the original table. Yeah, and we'll get rid of that. We'll also get rid of that and get rid of that. And now we will write TOT, standing for the terms of trade. Okay, then how would we calculate that? It will be export value divided by export quantity divided by import value divided by import quantity. And you will see that the value of the terms of trade is below 100%, which is after all a bad sign, meaning that the UK's export price of 1 unit is lower than the price of import. In other words, the UK is not really making money by exporting barley. But on the other hand, it can be explained quite simply, because the UK does not really import barley in significant quantities, and the UK might be importing just some expensive sorts or expensive classes of barley, whilst exporting regular or ordinary classes of the commodity. Sorts, not classes, of the commodity. Okay, so when interpreting the terms of trade, you have to also bear in your mind that the import can be insignificant, okay? And that maybe the UK is not the country really focused on the export of barley, which is likely to be the case. But I'm not sure about that actually. But nevertheless, let's change the shape of the table, and you're good to go. In the end, which you'll be uploading, let me go back here. In the end, you're encouraged to upload the second assignment here, and of course you can comment that, but it will be of course appreciated. But in the worst case scenario, you can upload an Excel file here, okay? You will have an option to upload that, but I do not have that because I'm the teacher. So it was the second assignment Thank you for watching and good luck with your assignment.